Fox News contributor Jonathan Turley joins us now. Jonathan, what does this mean?
Well, it means what we already know, that Michael Cohen is the most compromised, unbelievable witness in the history of the federal legal system. That's hardly news. What we saw in his cross-examination was an evasive and rehearsed set of answers, and he's going to likely continue that tomorrow. But here you have his own lawyer now saying that what he said on the stand is diametrically opposed to what he told him in an attorney-client confidential setting. Now, we already flagged parts of the testimony of Cohen that did not seem to ring true. For example, Cohen said that he surreptitiously taped the former president for his protection, to keep David Pecker honest. That makes no sense at all. Nobody can make any sense out of how taping Donald Trump would somehow affect David Pecker. In fact, the call itself seemed to indicate that Trump had very little information about the deals that had been arranged by Cohen. It seems clear to most of us that he was banking insurance against Trump, that this was to be compromising information that he might use later. And that would be completely consistent with Michael Cohen. The only consistent elements in Cohen's career is that he will only tell the truth if he has no alternative, and he always acts for his own best interest.
So does the defense call Cohen's ex-lawyer to the stand and just blow Cohen's whole testimony up?
Well, that would be something, wouldn't it? You would just have the president's former counsel testifying against him and then have his former counsel's former counsel testifying against him. At some point, it's going to get awfully strange. Yeah. No, I don't think that they will. Look, I think there's a strong temptation to just rest. I don't think they have presented the elements of any crime. We still don't know what this other crime was that was being concealed by Trump. But they also haven't put into evidence any clear support for saying that listing these payments as legal expenses was somehow fraud or wrong. Many experts are saying, no, if you're paying your lawyer his fees and costs that he put out there, most accountants will just list that as a legal expense because it's going to your lawyer. So they haven't put into play what is necessary, in my view, to get to the jury. But they may be tempted to put an expert on just to put a nail in this coffin. I can't understand how any honest judge would allow this to go to a jury. You know, Judge Merchan is going to have his moment where he has to decide what he owes his commitment to, the rule of law or to something else. Because if he follows the rule of law, this would never go to a jury.
Well, we'll find out soon. Big day tomorrow. Cohen cross-examined. What a week. Jonathan Turley, the esteemed constitutional scholar and partner of mine on the
Jesse.
Five. Thank you so much. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.